Good evening everyone and welcome to Aurora online classes. So I am here with the same lesson, the making of a scientist. Let's read further and I'll explain it to you the rest of the things. In my previous class I taught you that a bride participated in the county science fair and he lost it. He couldn't win any prize for that. It was a sad experience for him as he could get nothing. But this failure gave him a lesson. This failure gave him a lesson that he should prepare well for everything. He should be well prepared for everything. And it also aroused in him the scientific curiosity, the competitive spirit. Though he had scientific curiosity since his childhood, he was very much curious to know the new things. Even his mother helped him out. She bought him telescopes, cameras, microscopes, everything. So actually, but competitive spirit is needed for success. And this failure brought him a lesson, taught him a lesson that one should be competitive. And this failure also gave him an opportunity to realize the drawbacks, to realize the shortcomings as to why he couldn't win any prize, as to why he lost that competition. So he realized over his mistakes and he got some new ideas. And actually what happened that then he wrote to Dr. Urquhart for ideas, for suggestions, and Dr. Urquhart, who was a professor, and this Urquhart gave him plenty of suggestions, gave him plenty of necessary ideas for experiments. And all these ideas, all his suggestions helped him in winning the other national and international prizes. So actually Dr. Urquhart was a great help for him. In fact, when he was in, I meant to say that when he was in 8th grade, there was a project, and in 8th grade means he was in 8th class and he had to find out the cause of a viral disease that kills nearly all the monarch caterpillars every few years. So what is the reason of the death of monarch caterpillars? How does this, what means the cause of a viral disease? What is the cause of this viral disease? So actually he thought the disease might be carried by a beetle. Just because of a viral disease, if many monarch butterflies die, so what is the source of this viral disease? Means how is this viral disease caused? What is the cause of this viral disease? He had to find out. So at first he thought about a beetle, means beetle is the source of viral disease, and because of this viral disease monarch butterflies die. Beetle means bhora. But actually this was not the thing. He tried raising caterpillars in the presence of beetles. Raise means tame, palna. I didn't get any real results. He said, but I went ahead and showed that I had tried the experiment this time and I won. This time he tried the experiment and this time round he won it. Then every year he had some projects, some science projects, and he was a regular participant. He used to take part in the science exhibitions, in science fair, and for this he used to work very hard. The next year his science fair project was testing the theory that Viceroy butterflies copy monarchs. Viceroy is a species of butterfly. Monarch is also a species of butterfly. So these are Viceroy butterflies and monarchs butterflies. They are the species of butterflies. So now there was another project, and the project was to test the theory that Viceroy butterflies copy monarch butterflies. The theory was that Viceroys look like monarchs. Look like monarchs means Viceroy butterflies look like monarch butterflies, and monarchs do not taste good to birds. Birds don't want to eat monarchs. So Viceroys, on the other hand, do taste good to birds. So the more they look like means Viceroy butterflies look like monarch butterflies. That is why Viceroy's butterflies look like monarch butterflies, and they try to copy monarch butterflies. Means Viceroy butterflies copy monarch butterflies, because monarch butterflies are not eaten by birds, only Viceroy butterflies are eaten by birds. So in order to protect themselves, Viceroy butterflies copy monarch butterflies in order to save their lives from the birds, because Viceroy butterflies are they are eaten by birds. Birds catch them, kill them, eat them. This was the project. Ebright's project was to see whether in fact birds would eat monarchs. He found that a starling would not eat ordinary bird food. It would eat all the monarchs it could get. Later on, Ebright found that monarchs are also eaten by birds. But there is a bird which is a starling. A starling is the name of a bird. So a starling, it's a bird. This starling bird eats monarchs. And this project was placed first in the zoology division and third overall in the county science fair. So he got the prize for it. In his second year in high school, Richard Ebright began the research that led to his discovery of an unknown insect hormone. Indirectly, it also led to the new theory on the life of cells. The question he tried to answer was simple: what is the purpose of the 12 tiny gold spots on a monarch pupa? This was the topic of his project. As to there are tiny gold spots on monarch pupa. So why are there tiny gold spots on a monarch pupa? This was the subject of his research, and this was his project. What is the purpose of having 12 gold spots on a monarch pupa? Why does monarch pupa have 12 gold spots? There are some people who thought that it is for decoration, it is for ornamental. Means gold spots on pupa, on a monarch pupa, are ornamental. There are some people who thought like that. They are just for decoration, for the sake of decoration. But Ebright said, but Dr. Urquhart didn't believe it. There is a special reason, there is a special purpose for having gold spots on monarch pupa. To find the answer, Ebright had another excellent science student first had to build a device that showed that the spots were producing a hormone necessary for the butterfly's full development. Underline it. Actually, Ebright, along with another student, along with his classmate, they prepared a device. They built a device. They made a device to show that these gold spots on a monarch pupa are not ornamental. The gold spots on a monarch pupa, actually these gold spots produce a special hormone. They produce a special hormone. Actually, this is pronounced as hormone. So, actually, since the gold spots on a monarch pupa produce hormone, a special hormone, and this special hormone is necessary for the growth of butterflies. If the butterflies, because there is a full cycle, eggs, then pupa, then caterpillars, and then adult butterflies. So if they don't have gold spots on a monarch pupa, they can't produce any hormone, and this hormone, if they don't have this hormone, they cannot grow, they cannot develop. This is what Ebright proved it. That gold spots are necessary for the development of butterflies. If these gold spots are not there on monarch pupa, butterflies cannot grow, butterflies cannot develop. This project won Ebright first place in the county fair, and this gave him an entry into the International Science and Engineering Fair. There he won third place for zoology. He also got a chance to work during the summer at the entomology laboratory of the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. Entomology means a study of insects. He got a chance there. As a high school junior, Richard Ebright continued his advanced experiments. He kept on doing his experiments, advanced experiments on the monarch pupa. This year, his project won first place in the International Science Fair and gave him another chance to work. This gave him another chance to work in the Army laboratory during the summer. In his senior year, he went a step further. He went ahead. He grew cells from a monarch's wing in a culture. Culture means in a special region or area with regulated temperature. So in his senior year, he went a step further. He grew cells from monarch's wing in a culture and showed that these cells would divide and develop into normal butterfly wing scales only if they were fed the hormone from the gold spots, and he proved it. This project won first place for zoology at the international fair. This gave him the first position at the international fair. He has spent the summer after graduation doing further work at the Army laboratory. He kept on doing his work at the Army laboratory and at the laboratory of the US Department of Agriculture. So he kept on progressing ahead. He started taking one step after another. He started progressing in his life by doing one experiment after other, and he got succeeded. He became a successful researcher. The following summer, after his freshman year at Harvard University, Ebright went back to the laboratory of the Department of Agriculture and did more work on the hormone from the gold spots. He continued to work on gold spots. He made so many researches on gold spots using the laboratory's sophisticated instruments, because now he was in the Department of Agriculture. And so he had sophisticated, means refined instruments, and he was able to identify the hormone's chemical structure. this was really a brilliant breakthrough, identifying the hormone's chemical structure. Then 1.5 years later, during his junior year, Ebright got the idea for his new theory about cell life. Now he has started working on cell life. It came with while he was working at X-ray photos of the chemical structure of a hormone. He went through the photos of chemical structure of a hormone. When he saw those photos, Ebright didn't shout "Eureka" or even "I have got it." When he saw the photos of chemical structure of a hormone, he found it. He found the solution to his problem. He was succeeded. He became successful. But he did not shout, he did not announce like Archimedes, who discovered the theory of buoyancy. Like Eureka, Eureka, Eureka. He started, Archimedes said Eureka. Eureka means I have got it, I have found it. Mujhe mil gaya, mil gaya. He didn't say like that. He didn't announce like Archimedes. The photos gave him the answer to one of the biology's puzzles as to how the cell can read the blueprint of DNA. And we all know that DNA is the substance in the nucleus of a cell. And this DNA controls our heredity. There is DNA in every cell. So every organism has a cell. Every living organism has a cell. And there is DNA in every cell. So actually our future, our life becomes according to the DNA that we have, and also what we inherit from our parents. So it determines the form and function of the cell. Thus DNA is the blueprint for life. Apart from this, Ebright and his college roommate James R. Wong, he was his roommate, James R. Wong, underline it, worked all the night drawing pictures. They kept themselves busy in drawing pictures, both of them, and constructing plastic models of molecules to show how it could happen. And together they wrote the paper and explained the theory. Surprising no one who knew him, Richard Ebright graduated from Harvard with the highest. He graduated from the very famous Harvard University with highest marks, with highest honors, and he got second position in his class of 1510. Means there were 1510 students. This was the strength of the class, and he stood second in Harvard University. Ebright went on to become a graduate student researcher. He was a researcher. He was a graduate student researcher at Harvard Medical School. He went there to Harvard Medical School, and then there he started his experiments to test this theory. If the theory proves correct, it will be a big step towards understanding the process of life. It will also have the idea to know the cause of the cancer and how to prevent the cancer and some other diseases. All of this is possible because of Ebright's scientific curiosity. He has started his journey as a scientist with butterflies, and he still had the curiosity, the scientific temper, and just because of the scientific temper he was progressing day by day, and he succeeded in his venture, he succeeded in his project, he succeeded in his international fair, succeeded in exhibition, he succeeded in his research work. One very important trait, one very important quality that he had scientific curiosity. He always wanted to do something new. He was always curious to know or curious to learn something more and more. So actually he kept the scientific curiosity alive in his heart. And his high school research into the purpose of the spots on a monarch pupa eventually led him to this theory about cell life. Now Richard Ebright has been interested in science since he first began collecting butterflies, as I said now earlier, just now, but not so deeply that he hasn't time for other interest. Apart from a good researcher, apart from having keen interest in science, there were other areas of interest for him. He had some interest and hobbies. He became a champion debater, a public speaker, a champion debater. And for this work, he used to work at night. He used to work for 3 or 4 hours at night. So apart from this, he was a champion debater. He was a good public speaker and good canoeist. Canoe means it's a light boat. He also used to sail boat in the river. He was expert in canoeing. Canoe means a light boat. Now, nauka chalak, canoeist. An all-round outdoor person. He is also an expert photographer, particularly of nature and scientific exhibits. He was an excellent photographer. And he used to have the photographs of nature and scientific exhibits. Richard A. Wierer, his social studies teacher and advisor to both clubs. Mr. Wierer was the perfect person for me then. He opened my mind to new ideas, Ebright said. Ebright had great respect for Mr. Wierer, and Mr. Wierer was his social studies teacher. Mr. Wierer was very supportive. He always gave him lots of ideas. He always tried to broaden the horizon of his knowledge. Richard would always give that extra effort. Mr. Wierer said, this is the opinion of Mr. Wierer about Richard Ebright. That he is very competitive and he always wants to be the best. What pleased me was the person who put in 3 or 4 hours at night doing debate research besides. Who said? Mr. Wierer said. This is the opinion of Mr. Wierer about Ebright, that this fellow is really a hard-working fellow. This fellow means Ebright is a hard-working fellow. He is determined. He works for 3 or 4 hours at night in preparing his debate researches. And he, besides doing all his research work with butterflies, he had some other interests of life where he works honest. Richard was competitive. Mr. Wierer continued, but not in a bad sense. He was a man of competitive spirit. Richard was very competitive, but not in a bad sense. He explained Richard wasn't interested in winning for winning's sake. Not for winning's sake or winning to get a prize. He participated in every program, in every exhibition, fair, and he did lots of research work, not for the sake of victory, but for the sake of learning something new. So he had the learning spirit. So he was winning because he wanted to do the best job in this world. Richard wanted to be the best in this world. This is what his social study teacher, Mr. Wierer, said. And this is one of the ingredients in the making of a scientist. They start with a first-rate mind. First-rate mind means this is one of the ingredients of his success. One of the factors in making of a scientist. What are the qualities that made him a great scientist? First-rate mind means his mind was sharp. He was sharp-minded. Secondly, curiosity. He was always curious to learn something more and more, something new and new. And he had the will to win for the right reasons. Ebright has these qualities from the time the book The Travels of Monarch X opened the world of science to him. Richard Ebright has never lost his scientific curiosity. So he never lost his scientific curiosity. He always kept his scientific curiosity alive in his heart. He was determined. He was hardworking. He got help from his social study teachers, Mr. Wierer. He also got plenty of ideas and suggestions from Dr. Urquhart, and he was determined to get something. He was determined to do the best in this world. So he had all these qualities. So he has started his journey as a scientist with butterflies. So these are the factors that helped him in making him a good scientist. And we cannot deny the role of his mother. We cannot deny the role of his teachers. So all together, putting the efforts of all together, all these factors helped him in making a great scientist. Means all these factors helped him to become a great scientist. Dear students, I hope whatever I have explained you must have understood, and now this lesson is over. Thank you very much. See you soon in the next class. Thank you very much. That's all for today.